This is the reclamation of my city. All street corners, libraries, murals, and train tracks. Here lies the real pride and purpose of Richmond, California. I was birthed from these streets. Witnessed the brutality of bullets, trash sweeping over parks and playgrounds. I remember praying for water, praying for a renewal of my home. And now I'm finally in the midst of a rebirthing, of a reclamation of my city. All the streets are veins leading to the Greenway. She's like the heart of Richmond. We grew up together. She's been there my whole life. She's one of my best friends. She's always been there for me, but I was never there for her. We had our hardships growing up. She was always mistreated. She was always used as a trash can. People didn't see her as anything as important, but just a dusty trail. As we grew, people started to care for her. She has transformed, and I found a new love for her. I listened to the heartbeat of Richmond, of the blossoming of trees, the repenting of our pride. I listened to the music of our city, all hip-hop, jazz, gospel, and merengue, dancing as we rid this city of violence. I reclaim the shipyards of our city's past. I reclaim the present, which will be my lived history. I reclaim the future that has yet to come. I reclaim the Greenway Trail as a part of me. She shows that healing is a beautiful process, that it is possible. I invite us all to embark on this journey of discovering the pride and purpose of the Richmond Greenway, of the city, of our home.
EST, 1895. East Bay found pride and purpose. This belonged to the Ohlone tribe. Passed on to the victor, go to spoils, dying in his own right. Won the war, lost the fight. Lost the land, lost in life. Made in the city where there is no light. Just struggle. I was raised on that.
Once upon a time, the Richmond Greenway was it was a railway.
This greenway is a former railroad right-of-way. So it's a rails to trails project. And the railroad abandoned it in 1975 and turned the land over to the city of Richmond.
As it was decommissioned, there was a lot of dumping that happened.
The place was basically a dump and had been for years.
And when we came here in 2013, this was like waist high in weeds, mattresses, discarded television sets, buckets of broken glass, dog feces, gunshot casings, and just dumping.
This was a brownfield that needed transformation for better community health.
My name is Doria Robinson. I'm a third generation Richmond resident. I lived here all my life. I grew up a few blocks from where we are standing today, and I live a few blocks from where we're standing today. I still live here with my kids. You know, when my grandparents moved here, there was still a little bit left of the whole post-war boom, you know, in the industrial areas of Richmond. Like there was jobs in various industries and, you know, in canning or at the refinery or whatnot. There were still jobs for regular people. There was actually a big Safeway factory here and people could work there, and it was a union job, you know, and there was union jobs, right? My mom's generation, she describes Richmond as a place where they had all kinds of things to do, and there was bowling alley, and there was a movie theater, and there kids, like teenagers, had parties, had house parties, and hung out, and it was a lot more social. There was like a black kind of working class, middle class that was here, and you know, people weren't rich, weren't wealthy, but they were, you know, working class, you know, and people, it could be a place where you could land and change things for yourself for the better, you know? But I think there's this transformation in the economy everywhere that hit Richmond really hard, where you saw fewer and fewer union jobs, you saw fewer and fewer jobs in manufacturing or in warehousing or in industry, in that kind of industry. And you match that with people coming back from the Vietnam War and being really injured by it, you're right? So low income black men especially, and then you pair that up with the beginning of the influx of drugs into the community, like serious amounts of drugs, you know, especially first it was heroin during that time, and then, you know, kind of transitioned into crack, and then the influx of guns with that, and you know, the whole middle class dream falls apart if the youth are being caught up in drugs and guns. And you pair that with a whole bunch of other, you know, things, propositions that take away money from schools, you know, an education system, you know, kind of crumbling, and all these things just work together to create the perfect circumstances of a population that moved en masse from the South or from the Midwest here for opportunity. The opportunity falls away, and then all these other factors begin to work on the population, and there's no jobs and there's no whatever, and the education falls away, and the safety net, you know, gets wider and wider apart, and you get Richmond in the 80s.
This is also the dividing line between central Richmond and the south side, and a lot of the tensions and the violence are territorial, and the Richmond Greenway is a really important space because it was the dividing line between South Richmond and Central.
A lot of the Greenway was kind of like, this is not a really safe place, like, you know, it would be like a shortcut to get from point A to point B rather than like a nice path, and a lot of times it would have an unsafe feeling, you know. You wouldn't want to cross through this space before it was developed, you know, alone at night or something like that.
Before, I remember as a young kid, this is actually the most dangerous spot you can be. My parents actually used to tell me never step on the Greenway because it was like so like dangerous.
You know, it was a lot of drive-by shootings, and, you know, a lot of people getting killed in and around school. It was just a lot of gangs, a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, all my life. I came here since I was like 8 years old. I'm 48 now, so I used to be in the mess, you know what I'm saying? I used to be in gangs and all of that. I lost a brother at 26 years old, man. He was 26, I was 21 at the time. Like I said, I made it.
You know, losing friends, burying friends, to, you know, gang violence. We painted a mural of one of my coworkers and great friend, and one of my mentees during the time. His name was Lincoln Player. We painted a mural of him over there, and he unfortunately got killed a block away from our harbor, our Elm Play lot, a few blocks down from here. It definitely has a long-lasting impact on who you are, who I am. You know, definitely, I think makes you want something different for their kids. You know, I have friends that they've had their kids killed. You know, and that in itself is, you know, heartbreaking. You know, because you want change. You know, and sometimes that seems very monumental. You know.
Dear cousin, the day you were killed, the sky went sad. I love you. I wish you didn't have to leave this way. And I know you weren't perfect, but you didn't deserve death.
Lily Mae Jones is pretty much the one that started the Richmond Greenway, and that's why it's named Lily Mae Jones Trail.
Lily Mae Jones was community activist. She was the one who envisioned the Richmond Greenway getting transformed from an actual rail trail to a bike and a walking trail and a city park.
Like the community-based force behind getting this trail, the initial trail in, the Rails to Trails, her and Cycle, her organization.
And Lily Mae Jones is a legend in the Iron Triangle. I mean, she went to every single city council meeting, every single park and rec meeting for years, and spent 10 years envisioning taking the railroad track down. It was her vision that created this.
And, you know, hearing her in the neighborhood council meetings was powerful, you know. She really, even though she towards the last few years of her life. She was in a wheelchair, but her speaking made her completely take over the whole room. So it was an honor to hear her speak.
She's like one of my inspirations of just someone who's so dogged, and she had the right vision, you know, at the right time. So this is really, it's Lily May's vision, and I think we're just, all the subsequent groups are building on her vision, but she should be credited as the one who thought about this.
Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love.
I'm the executive director of Urban Health. We were the first group to have an Adopt a Spot after Cycle did their initial things. Like when Cycle did their when they first put the trail in, the story goes that they had a garden across the street as well when they first started working on the Greenway for like a summer or so with their summer program, but then it didn't continue. So by the time I got here, there wasn't a garden anymore. There was nothing. I got involved when I got an email from the founder of Urban Health. His name was Park Guthrie, and he was working kind of as a one-man show, like helping to establish improved gardens in schools around Richmond. And he discovered this space, which at the time had the bike trail, but nothing on either side of the path, right? Like just the bike trail, and that's all they could afford to do. And so he actually sent out this email with this vision of what the Greenway could be, you know? And it literally was just this beautiful just description of like, you know, the Greenway has gardens on either side and, you know, playgrounds, and there's a place called Berryland, and there's all berry garden there, and there's pollinators and birds and whatnot. And it was just so compelling. Like, I literally sat there and read the email, and I was like, yes, you know, because for me, my whole life, the Greenway had been the shortcut between my house in the Iron Triangle on 5th Street and my grandparents' house and church on the south side. So we just take a shortcut to get to their house, and it was like the old railroad tracks that's all broken down and glass and dumped stuff, and, you know, it was kind of like the maze through it. So when I got that email with this vision, I was like, that's dope. That's awesome. I want to do that. So I like replied right away, and I was like, I'm in, you know?
My name is Paula Kristovich, and I've been coming out here since, I believe it's 2007. I went to this film at the Richmond Library, the Richmond Main Library. They had a film about Cuban community gardens or something like that. And after the film, somebody got up and said, oh, who wants to start a community garden?
And we literally had a meeting that weekend in my backyard with Park and me and Paula Kristovich, who's still involved today, and Cassie, who used to be, who founded the Verde Partnership Garden, and made a plan to start doing Saturday volunteer days, second Saturday volunteer days out here. And that next second Saturday we came out and we looked around for a spot to start the first garden, and we staked it out, and we have these really cute pictures of our kids kind of like driving the stakes in and whatnot, so we can go to the city to propose that we could do a garden.
And we came out here and talked to the city and roped off an area and started Berryland with wine barrels and just sticking mostly raspberries in them.
And it was all in ground. It was 18 different varieties of berries that we planted over there, and kind of wine barrels and various types of raised beds with logs and soil in the logs. And yeah, that's where we started it, you know, over there with those raised beds and the wine barrels and whatnot. And I remember we struggled for a long time trying to figure out how to get things to stay. The first wine barrels we put out, people stole like the whole wine barrel, and we're like, There's no more strawberries. So we had to like end up like cementing them down with rebar and whatnot, so that the beds would actually, the barrels, especially the wine barrels, would actually stay, and people wouldn't take them anymore. And you know, when we first started, people really doubted the whole thing. They were like, "Why are you doing this? It's not gonna work. Nobody cares about this. They don't want this. You know, like nobody's gonna eat any food from out here." Nobody, like, it was like many people were doubtful, right? They thought something was gonna start, and then 6 months it'd be gone, you know. And so it was always like, no, we're gonna keep showing up. You know, we're gonna keep doing it. I mean, when we first started, it was super informal, you know, like it was just us and whatever neighbors kind of came through. We didn't have sign-in sheets and, you know, that kind of thing. We would bring out like a camp stove and eggs from people's chickens and make omelets with, you know, whatever we had. And it was very informal, you know, and very like neighborhood, you know. And it is still that way in some sense, but a little bit more formal because we've had to be more formal, you know, as you grow. But it was very informal, kind of sweet. People talked to each other a lot, talked about where you live, where do you live, you know. And so we just slowly grew. You know, it started with just a couple of wine barrels, and then one raised bed with tree limbs and whatnot, and then another one, and then another one. But this was all with like very like, you know, donated wood and donated materials, and it looked very haphazard, and it was really hard to maintain because we didn't have like stuff on the ground except for wood chips that we would get, you know, donated. So we had a big weed problem. It was like a lot of weeds all the time, like, you know, really bad weeds. It was a lot of work. But we did what we could, you know, and people loved it dearly.
What is this face before me? What do I see? It's my daughter, my son, the blood of my husband on the street. Different shades, different ways. We're all the same, cutting down.
I'm Bruno Lara from the Greenway Gardens, Unity Park. I'm a manager at the site. I'm a Richmond resident for a while. I've been living in Richmond for pretty much my whole life, other than Mexico. And then, yeah, behind me used to be my elementary school, Lincoln Elementary School, so kind of connect to why I kind of chose the Greenway. I've been living in this area for a while, so yeah, I want to reconnect with my community. But now, like, growing up, seeing it, like, grow these beds and flowers and all these people coming by and actually coming together and, like, making it into a park and a garden, it's pretty amazing. And I wanted to be a part of that for sure. So, yeah, when I found out that they were finally fixing everything, I was just, like, on board on that. They told me about the kids learning on the Greenway. I wanted to be the one to teach them how to kind of do the same thing I wanted to do, and I actually did. It's called the Summer Apprentice Program. Pretty much you get youth from the community. They're usually from Richmond or San Pablo, and you teach you about agriculture, the main topics, environmental justice, like propagation, and just like gardening and urban gardening.
I actually started off in 2016 with this organization in their Youth Summer Apprentice Program. So I started off as an apprentice here and like started learning some of those skills. I learned so much with being here, it's actually nice. So I can actually take these skills home to my family.
Gives people like an opportunity to get involved with, you know, the community and grow food and learn how to grow it, and then it's just transformative difference from how it started. Like I said, it's just litter, and now you have these beautiful gardens and all this community resources. It's intentionally meant for, you know, people to have these resources so they can do it themselves, like the principle of growing your own and not having to rely on a corner store for food.
I think it's important because it's just how our ancestors kind of lived, and it's an easy way to get your food. Just kind of like amazing to see a seed get put in the ground, watered, and eventually grow into the stuff that you're gonna eat.
Yeah, it's like about restorative justice, you know, social justice, bringing awareness to like that we're in a food desert and we're providing these resources to people that are of low income that can't really necessarily afford to go to the Trader Joe's and the Whole Foods necessarily. So it's definitely about like, you know, making this available for everyone.
You know, access to the natural world is everyone's birthright. And also access to land to grow food is everybody's birthright. You know, it's not our birthright to own a car, but it is our birthright. Everybody should have access to the healing properties of nature.
My name is Sherman Dean. I work for Groundwork Richmond. I am actually the Workforce Development Manager and Youth Coordinator for Groundwork Richmond. The manager of our Green Corps team, which is a transitional age youth like labor force kind of for training and professional development and gateways into different environmental jobs and different jobs with the city. Well, our tagline is changing places, changing lives, changing systems. So our main mission is basically with the people power of the communities out here in Richmond that we serve to transform the environment and create economic development out here and really transform Richmond with the people, using the people that live here so that the ones that live here can enjoy it and not be pushed out or feel excluded.
My name is Jeremy Francisco. I was part of an internship with another organization, and then I found out about Groundwork, and then I seen the stuff that they did, and I really like fell in love with it kind of, with what they did, planting trees, helping the environment, their own community, because a lot of organizations like worldwide, they help out, you know, like a lot of different like places, but I feel like in Richmond, Groundwork Richmond, we help out just like the Richmond area, like focus, because the refineries right there, bad pollution, as you know, there's like bad violence here a long time ago. So I feel like helping our community out, our own community where we live in with our people, is like something that's gonna, something great like we're doing here.
Trying to connect more people to a healthy outdoor lifestyle is like, that's like our main underlying thing. It's more fresh air, more nature, more soil. We're responsible for trying to help restore Richmond's urban forest, our urban forest canopy. So we mainly plant trees all along the Greenway and all these different nodes along the Greenway, and we teach the youth about the importance of trees and the effect they have on our environment and our health and why we're planting them out here on the Greenway. So it's not like we're just planting trees just to plant trees.
Mira, lo más importante aquí que lo que hicimos fue los árboles. Esos árboles que plantamos ya ahorita están bonitos. Y esos árboles al rato van a aventar oxígeno. Aire limpio para la gente que va, no aroma cochino ni nada. Los mismos árboles van a tirar el oxígeno para la gente que va a pasar. Que no absorber tanta química. Ya. Y es lo más importante a los árboles. Cuidarlos para que duren.
He says he wants people to remember where all the trees came from, the oak trees. He's saying in specific the oak trees because, like I said, we had 100 olive trees that got stolen here. So that took a big hit for us. And then since we got these oak trees, like we've really been taking care of them. So, and he's been taking care of them. So he wants people to remember where these trees came from and how all the hard work came to taking care of these trees, because these trees are going to provide fresh oxygen for the future generation, and it's going to help all the rest of the people not breathe in all the chemicals.
Mainly responsible for designing the edible forest down at the Unity Park Community Plaza, and I got to work with a bunch of high school kids from right around here to really develop that. And when we were learning how to build soil, we got to the different levels of like fertilizers and organic matter. And I remember I told them maybe on their first or second day that, all right, we're gonna be building soil, and tomorrow we're moving poop. And they was like, what? Oh, ain't no way, I'm not touching no poop, I'm not doing that. Oh, you crazy, Sherm, you crazy. Well, the next day we had a big old truck come with about 30, 40 cubic yards of fresh like manure, big old pile right there. And at first they was like, oh, what's that smell? We not finna do that, Sherm, you kidding? We thought you was playing. And it took just one of them to be brave enough to be like, come on, man, it's just grass and stuff, let's go. It's just recycled grass. And they start shoveling it. And next thing you know, it's about 12 like inner city kids, some with Jordans and stuff on, up there shoveling poop and shit, and just like excited. It's like, oh, this ain't that bad. And then they find out like it's not unintentional, but it took them way out of their comfort zone, and they just went for it. And like, to me, it was like, okay, so you guys are more than your narratives. You guys are more than the stereotype that they put. And that made me feel like hella happy, you know.
The groundwork Richmond got me into gardening. Yeah, I didn't do this before. I had no idea how to plant a tree, but now like I'm leading groups, and that's pretty fun for me.
And I really enjoy, like I've always loved working with the young people in the different groups out here, like Watershed Project and Urban Tilth and Groundworks. You know, they employ a lot of youth from Richmond. And I've always enjoyed interacting with them.
I like to get my hands dirty. I mean, but the main reason why I like doing this stuff is because it's better for the environment. It helps it more, especially with the air quality that's going on. And I feel like doing this type of work with a lot of different groups of people brings us all together. And a lot of different like groups, diverse groups, come together for like a certain purpose, for one purpose.
It's going to take both sides. I mean, both like age groups. It's going to take young folks. It's going to take older folks working together to keep this thing going, to keep it, alive, and to keep it thriving. Because a lot of older folks use the space. A lot of younger folks use the space. Everybody has their own ideas for how they think it should look and how it should run. But what the young people get from working with the older folks doing this is they get to learn history about Richmond. They get to learn knowledge about the areas and how this space used to be before, and when they were younger, what they used to do in these areas and whatnot. And it creates this kind of like culture, that the younger people can kind of like connect to, and it creates a connection to the space, that's deeper than just, these flowers and whatnot. It's like, okay, I got this dope story about this area from this dope ass, adult or older person.
There's like times where we teach the adults something about like what they don't know about us or the youth that's going on right now, because they don't really hang out with youth that like when you get older, I guess they don't, there's some people that don't really hang out with youth as much. And we're able to share our experiences, and they're able to share their experiences with us, and then we can teach them the stuff that's going on in our lives, the teenage life right now, because such as the mental illness right now is like really bad, and how they're able to help it, such as teachers too. We tell them how we feel, and then they help us out like that in such ways.
And vice versa, I feel like the younger generation, they feed the older folks' energy, the youth. Like, they can vibe off each other, and I think that's hella important, especially in Richmond.
Because adults and youths were the adults are kind of not stuck, but they're they have the mindset, they grew up in a different generation, and then we grew up in a different generation. So if we work with our minds together, we're unstoppable. Both our minds, yeah.
Well, all of these projects along the Greenway are community driven.
Actually, the only way this Greenway is in the status that it is now, in the state that it is now, is because of collaboration with a ton of different nonprofit organizations and city entities and facilities working together to steward this place. So a lot of organizations do adopt a spot, so we'll adopt a plot to manage, and then we all meet together to come up with ideas or different plans or seek funding for us as a group, as a little collective we call Friends of the Richmond Greenway, or Forge. It's like 17 different nonprofit organizations and different Greenway stakeholders that come together.
The Friends of the Richmond Greenway is this valiant effort to to get everyone who works on the Greenway or aspires to work on the Greenway or lives around the Greenway to actually work together to take care of the Greenway.
All the 17 groups have been working on their specific adopt-a spots over these years. So it's almost like camping. We're camping right next to our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. We all try to coordinate all of the improvements happening. So we're each in charge of a link, but all of our groups want all of our links to go together to create this one continuous, beautiful emerald greenway through the city of Richmond.
Well, the city has been a partner in virtually all of these grants and all these projects by necessity. So the city and city staff, but very little city funding has gone into these projects over the years. They're almost all grant driven.
The city of Richmond is the best city to work with. We work with other cities and municipalities, and with the city of Richmond, we feel that they really kind of understood that they didn't have the resources to do everything that the community wanted, but that if they trusted us, then we could work together. So they have put a lot of trust in the community partners. So the Watershed Project has been trusted with like administering like huge grants, sometimes like $700,000 that the city of Richmond say, oh, you can help me implement this park and like you can manage all this money for us, and like we believe that you can do it and that you will do a good job. And so by doing that, we can partner with them to write grants together, to know that they're going to be able to hire the nonprofits to do some of the outreach and the implementation of some of the projects, creating local employment, and also kind of like bringing more kind of buy into the projects, because in other cities, like the municipality does the project and they feel that they connected with the community and they ask them if this is what they wanted. But the truth is that like their process of engagement is normally just through a couple community meetings at night. And so it's just one way of communicating with people. While like when you have the nonprofits working, then they're communicating at many levels with the community. So when the project is done, people feel that it's their project, it's their park. And they felt that their contribution was important to make it happen. While in many cases, other cities, just because of liability, they're concerned, and they're not so willing to partner with the nonprofit. So City of Richmond is just amazing that way.
So you'll find that the community, and particularly the parts of the community that border the Greenway, they were all part of it. You know, most of those people had an involvement in planning it, designing it, a lot of them in building it, and they take a great deal of pride in that. And you know, the result of that is that that the community takes ownership of them and protects them, and that's really a good thing. It's really essential.
I think that like the key is first like a joint vision, kind of having the Friends of the Richmond Greenway kind of as this umbrella organization that helps the different groups communicate. We have 17 active groups in this space. Some of them are really, really small and they don't have a lot of capacity, but they still have a lot of desire to work. So they can do what the scope of work that is in their purview. But if they didn't have kind of the support of the city saying, I believe that you guys can coordinate and you can adopt a spot and you can like care for that spot, then the city will have to do it. In this case, they say, well, we trust you to do it and we'll help you do it. We'll fundraise together so you can have some funds to do the long-term maintenance. So that's what makes a difference, I think. So that kind of nonprofit government partnership being kind of a core element of the policies of the city has been really amazing.
Early in the morning, I was rose from the dirt. Living on my corner, you just had to be alert. Ain't no cutting corners when it comes to the work. Cause people want their money and it's truth to this earth.
So my name is Tootie Marr. I'm the executive director, founder of Pogo Park. We're a nonprofit in Richmond. We've been working in the Iron Triangle for 12 years. And our mission is to create these beautiful public spaces for children to play. That's at the heart of everything, is children and play. And we built our first park on 8th and Elm Street. And six years ago that we wanted to expand and do a second park, and we were really captivated by the Richmond Greenway.
Tootie Mayer, who is from Pogo Park, came to Friends of the Richmond Greenway with this grant opportunity. Said that she felt like the Greenway would be a good project applicant for this grant. You know, at the time they didn't have Adopt-A spot on the Greenway. She just was working at her park, Pogo Park, over in another part of Richmond, and this grant opportunity kind of came up. And so she spent some time like interviewing me and some other people about the history of the Greenway and what would be strategic, what were people's plans, what were we dreaming about, you know, for different spots and whatnot, and kind of came up with an initial proposal about the kinds of amenities, the kind of programs that we would like to see out here. But it was just an initial proposal, and then we went through an outreach process.
We had different design teams. We had survey tents out here for a long time, getting a lot of surveys about what people wanted to see, and we had these design teams.
Those things got put together into an initial grant proposal and submitted to the state. And our proposal was chosen to go to the next round. So on that next round, we went even deeper and kind of refined the proposal and put it in, and then our proposal was chosen. So the Unity Park grant was unique because in the grant, we pitched and really fought for community control of the design, not just control, but inclusion in the design and outreach for the project. And that funds from the grant would actually go to hire people from the community to deliver parts of the grant, to do parts of the grant. So normally when a state grant comes in, especially for a capital project, you know, the community may be involved in like a design charrette where they're shown a nearly finished design and they go, do I like this or do I not like this? Yes, no. You know, and that's it. That's their involvement in the design, you know. And what we were proposing is that actually we had these broad ideas about the improvements that we wanted to do, but we wanted community members to be hired as the consultants to conduct an in-depth community outreach and engagement project that would refine those broad categories of things we wanted to see that we pitched in the grant to be the actual design that we built. We actually split the team into two teams. There's one community engagement team that set up and did a whole, 6 months of outreach and engagement, going door to door to every house, having kind of tables and tents along the Greenway every day for hours and hours, where people would just be asked to draw out what they wanted to see and talk about, vote for different things along the process as we made decisions in the design. And then there was a design team that was made up of 57 people from the community who were paid, prevailing wage for their time. And there were 7 different teams focused on different elements of the park. So there was like a playgrounds team and a gardens team and a plaza team and an amenities and infrastructure team. And they actually went away with whatever skills they had and designed these spaces like on paper. And for us, many of us don't have drawing skills, we don't have CAD, so it was literally, some of them were like crayon drawings of the designs for the plaza, or where the bathrooms would go, or how the planters would be built here, and we drew it all out with our colored it in nicely. at that point, we were contracted to deliver a 35% complete design to the architect team, who was supposed to make it professional, and then take it the rest of the way, like, because considering design constraints and considering other things that somebody with a license needs to deal with. And then we were supposed to be the consultants at that point, where we were the clients and they needed to make sure that their design was in alignment with our vision. And I remember that first meeting when we met with Valier and Associates, who are awesome, by the way. But we had to go through something together in order for it to be awesome, because we kind of came into that first meeting with the architects, with Valier's team, and presented these like kind of crayon drawings. I think they thought we were kidding, and so the next meeting, when they came back and they were supposed to bring, the professional version of our crayon drawings, they brought a whole different design. And we're like, no. We were serious. We actually wanted that design. We just didn't want it in crayon. We wanted it to scale and, like corrected, but not changed completely, And so we had a little bit of a tussle, gentleman, ladylike tussle. And they listened to us, and to their credit, of many years of being architects and designers, they listened to community members, and they actually took our design and then began to work from our design and actually then make our design better. So they made a lot of small changes, or adjustments that were a small adjustment that actually ended up in a big change, big improvement that made the park really beautiful and really, just really what it is today. So it was a really intense journey. We had many public meetings and barbecues to show off versions of the design and get feedback and whatnot, and this whole back and forth with the architects to figure it out and really get them to take community members seriously. And I feel like we ended up, after 4 years, with a master plan for the whole site, that we weren't able to build the whole site yet because we didn't have enough money, but a master plan that is really going places. It's really a great design, and the areas we're able to build just really improve the park, in so many different ways. So and we did it while hiring and employing people to be a part of this process, local people.
The most important thing is that you have to involve people from the community to transform their own spaces. And too much, all of our system is set up to do things for someone else. I mean, you think about it, the Iron Triangle is in such need, it gets all these grants. But where does the money go? It goes to all the professionals to do something for the people. So you've just stripped the opportunity for people to get involved. And this is what's so different with the Greenway, is that, and the city's trying to promote this or support this, is like giving the power back to the people to create their own public spaces.
The park was not planned by city staff. It wasn't designed by a landscape architecture firm retained by the city. It was designed by the community. And to a large extent, it was built by the community. And to a large extent, it's still operated by the community. And that model is now recognized statewide as best practice in designing and building parks. So Richmond's gotten a lot of recognition out of that.
I think that everyone working on the Greenway just understands deeply the need for every human being to have beautiful green space.
My name is Najari Smith. I'm a Richmond resident. I am a community activist, founding executive director of Rich City Rides, co-owner of a cooperative bike shop. It's one of my partners who helps us out with these rides. And here we are. We actually got started right here on the Greenway. About 7 years ago, we were doing free community bicycle repairs for the community, hosting bike rides from the Richmond BART. And it's interesting, the structure that I got behind me, the bike hub, it's kind of like a dream that we had from about 7 years ago. It's one of the things that we wanted to create, along with a cooperative bike shop. Just so happens that the cooperative bike shop happened first, and now we have that on 15th and McDonald here in Richmond. And just this year, we opened up the bike hub. What we have today, well, we do weekly rides. We call them Self-Care Sunday rides. We gather about 20, 30 people on rides throughout Richmond. I'm using the bike paths, using city streets, going over like bicycle ride safety. We have them open to all community members, really small and really old, and everything in between. We have had dogs on our rides too. We bring out the bicycle trailer for like little kids. We have a trailer bike for like younger kids, and we just make it accessible for everybody. We'd like to get a rickshaw so that we can even take our seniors along with us. We want to break down like the barriers of ableism and have the rides open for all members of the community, all ages, all types of bikes, all riding abilities. Yeah, I'm also, along with the work that I've done on the Greenway, I'm also a longtime member since like 2011 with the Richmond Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee for the City of Richmond, where we've worked to bring lots of new bicycle infrastructure. These bike racks that are here at the park, along with 40 other bike racks throughout the City of Richmond, miles and miles of bike paths. But it was the need for human infrastructure to go along with built infrastructure that gave me which was the impetus for starting Rich City Rides. I wanted to see more people using the paths and using bikes as a way of building up and restoring our own health, as well as building up the health of our community. If somebody wants to join up with us on a ride and they don't have a bike, we'll provide them with a bike. And as a part of our Bikes for All program, if you come on 4 consecutive rides, we give you the bike to take home. So we've given out over 1,200 free bikes since we started. And since 2019, January, we've been giving away a bike a day. It's about getting folks gathered together and more familiar with each other and celebrating the city that we have here. Really activating these community assets. With all the parks in Richmond, it doesn't make sense if people aren't using them. We make stops intentionally at different parks to get those parks activated and used. What's interesting is that I could say that I met everybody out here in this park right now, including both of you, on some bike stuff.
Bikes bring people together.
Bikes are magical. Building bikes is important for youth because it activates your creativity. It gives you a base for like your mechanical skills. Learning how parts fit together and how all parts come together on a bike to move us through space. Each part is important. If you don't think each part is important, try riding without the front wheel. It's tricky. And it's kind of like, it kind of relates to how we are as a people. All people are important. And when we come together, the power is exponential. I'd even say that, riding with a group is more fun than riding by yourself. One of the reasons why I do these rides. It's way more fun when I have all my friends and family riding with me. It gets exciting the more folks gather in. We have more people joining the ride now. We teach how to ride classes every second Saturday. We show the number of people how to ride bikes for the first time. Not just little kids, it's older folks who just never had the joy of riding a bike. And we like to give them that joy as well. As you can imagine, over 7 years, I've seen lives change just from grabbing a bike and riding with us. There's such thing as being socially isolated, and our group rides break down that social isolation. Bikes make people happy. It goes even beyond physical health. It's mentally and socially healthy. I think that it's There's a different way that you see the streets when you're on a bike as opposed to driving in a car. You know, you're more vulnerable. It's easier to like wave at somebody. You can see them through the there's no tinted windows separating you from the folks around you. When your music is playing, everybody else is hearing it too. It's kind of like a sharing that happens there. It's just different, you know? Not to mention, more bikes helps alleviate, you know, another bike on the street alleviates traffic, opens up a parking spot. It's just a lot of benefits to riding a bike. Definitely fights climate change. And you know, that's a part of the culture of more bikes. It's less wear and tear on the streets, less carbon in the clouds, and it only costs you calories. Right on. Much like the bike shop, much like our park, much like each other, Rich City Rides is about taking back our health, taking back our familiarity and our relationships with each other, and taking back our streets. One park, one place, one person at a time. And we're here to ensure that nobody gets left out of the movement.
Yeah, no, before this space was like developed and turned into the edible forest, it was pretty much just a dirt path. And me and some of my friends when I was younger, maybe elementary age or maybe middle school, would come with our shovels and create little dirt ramps and pretty much a dirt park for us to try and do tricks on our bike. None of us were very good at that, but now we have Dirt World down the way.
Clear skies, your eyes, freedom, freedom. My home so warm, freedom, freedom. No jails, no bars, freedom, freedom. I said no jails.
Dirt World. It's a 2-acre urban BMX park. The largest one, the only one right now in the East Bay. In a partnership with the Trust for Public Land, that's how we collaborated with Dennis to get the first one built. And that kind of brought along the idea for starting this larger one. Because the smaller one, it was about a 1/4 acre. It was made for like little kids, but the big kids were using it. So we had to build something that was larger. And now we have Dirt World, where there's a section for little kids, kind of an intermediate path, and one for with 6-foot ramps, where folks can really test what they got.
We're standing here at Dirt World. I'm Janine Strickland. I'm a landscape architect here in Richmond, and I've been working on many different projects on the Greenway over the past couple of years. So I worked with neighborhood residents, Jasmine Malabed and D2, our Dennis Hodgkins.
We adopted the spot maybe, 3 years ago? And we worked up the money to get the builder out here, and that happened last March.
When we came out here in the beginning, it was very daunting because there were waist-high weeds, a lot of illegal dumping, a lot of stuff going on that was a lot of negative activity, and it was an underutilized space.
Yeah, we were riding different kind of bike. We weren't all the way into BMX yet. We were still riding fixies and road bikes. And then once we went dirt riding again, we wanted to ride dirt. We got guys at the skate park, a lot of BMX riders. And there's really nowhere to ride dirt. They used to have a lot of places around here to ride jumps and whatnot, and they always get torn down. So hopefully this one lasts a lot longer. Yeah, we built a practice racetrack because my son wants to race, but you have to go to Napa or San Jose, and then you have to practice 2-3 times a week. So we could just practice here, and just show up to races. You know, it saves us a lot, time and money. And plus, We live like 5 minutes away from here, so this is basically our backyard. I'm more into it because my boys, they both ride bikes and they're into it. They're like his age, and that's how we get to start over, you know, with the little kids. So, you know, you got new bikes all of a sudden and new everything. Just it wakes you up as a kid again, like to get out the house and just ride a bike.
Even skate parks are different because while it is sculpted, it's concrete, so it doesn't have that sort of organic, really, as you can see, verdant sort of life to it. So this track is made out of dirt and it changes all the time. So the riders help maintain it and everybody's involved. We did have a design day last spring, so a year ago. It was early April, about now, and we got a lot of the local bike riders who didn't have a place to ride. People go to Novato and Pleasant Hill. Those are our closest places to ride. And there were so many BMXers. People showed up with their kids. It's all different ages. People showed up, and we had a design meeting with lots of paper and some clay, and we kind of figured out what the features that everyone wanted were and where they wanted them to go. And it amazed me because it was such a diverse group, but everybody had a common cause, and they were able to really design something amazing and complex with in an afternoon.
There's a lot of little groups, the bike advocate groups, and you know, you have to be a part of them and learn about all the other groups and what they're doing. And you know, it's a community, so everybody helps each other. So once you help them and they get on board on your project, and you know, things start to happen.
I think that's the amazing community resources, that people care so much that we've all volunteered our time to make this happen. And it's taken 4 years now, I guess, or 3 years. So it's really astounding to watch like that sheer willpower transform a landscape.
Just happy to be a part of this. And this is our first go about something, and not our last one. So you'll probably see more of us, at least expanding this and making it like into something really, really nice.
Paul's Paints, it was a commission mural that they labeled as graffiti and painted over, and it stopped everything. It stopped all the movement. Basically, Paul's Paints just sat, and nothing happened in Richmond until the Gompers murals got painted over a year or two later.
My name's Gretchen, and I was a teacher at Gompers Continuation High School. And about 13 years ago, we were granted this 2-block section of the Greenway, and I was like, we should start gardening that. It's a block away, and the kids need service learning hours to graduate high school. So when we came out, it was just mowed green grass by the city of Richmond and this chippy wall.
This wall, it was just pretty much a red brick wall that it was just blank.
I was like, we need art. We really need art. So I spoke with Greg Hardesty from the city of Richmond. I said, what if we painted murals on these buildings? He's like, just get the owner's permission. So he gave me the names of the owners, and I contacted them, and all of them said yes. I had a really talented student named Taco, and I said, Taco, I got this brick building. I don't have any money, but we have a brick building. You always say you want a wall. Here's a wall. So Taco gathered his friends, and we started to paint this mural in May, 10 years ago. At the beginning, they're like, no one's going to let us do this. No one's going to let us make it beautiful. We're going to put all this work in, and it's going to get destroyed.
The original budget on the first one was, I think, $1,000, and that was just to cover the paint, you know, and for us and all the students and the community members to paint. From there, once the mural was done, it's really after like a week or so where the city came.
The city of Richmond and the police came by and said, stop, it's graffiti. I said, no, it's not, it's art. He said, nope, it's graffiti. I said, show me in the code where it's graffiti. Well, there's no definition of graffiti. And I said, well, it's a mural, it's art. And we went back and forth, And I had already contacted the City of Richmond Plan Department, so I knew I didn't need a permit. And they're like, you need a permit? I said, actually, I don't. I have the owner's permission. It's their building. Well, it's next to a road. It's graffiti. I'm like, nope, it's art.
They labeled it graffiti, and the City of Richmond had a statute that anything that was graffiti had to be painted out.
So they made us repaint it, and that was horrible, like soul-wrenching. And the kids were really disappointed.
Oh, we were all devastated. You know, imagine, you know, dedicating yourself a whole week and hours into painting something, and then for the City of Richmond to come in and make you buff it, you know. So I'm there going, you know, it was heartbreaking, you know, to kind of see your work gone, you know, and you to do it. So that's, I think, from there, I think it really sparked something in the students and Ms. Borg.
And I'm like, no, I got this. We're right, they're wrong. So we went to City Hall.
We decided to move forward and kind of battle it out with the City of Richmond to get our money back and be able to create a mural that we thought was a community mural.
Remember when you were sweating and we thought we weren't going to win that wall?
Yeah.
It was brutal, and the police were so nasty.
It was a really weird turn of events. I definitely did not expect that.
Yeah.
I definitely did not expect the city to react that way, and how they went about it, you know.
Well, they were nasty at first. Remember, they had that huge thing talking about how you guys were vandals and you were evil and blah blah blah. And I'm like, nope.
They had a 2-hour presentation.
Yes, they did.
They had a 2-hour presentation at the
all the different tags.
All the different tags. It was insane.
The experience, the negative feedback that the City of Richmond got from this mural definitely, I think, was a huge eye-opener for them, and to really see how they go forward with artwork in the City of Richmond, and to really sit down and figure out things. So it never really was like a one-sided thing. It was definitely a collaboration. So, but I think that them seeing us kind of stand up for our artwork definitely gave them a huge appreciation of what we were trying to do in the bigger picture in the City of Richmond.
We won the battle, and then we started to rewrite the code, and that took 2 years of 5 million meetings, and it's still a little gray, but ever since that first battle, murals sprung up all over Richmond.
I'm Desi Mundo. I'm the founder and director of the Community Rejuvenation Project. And I've done or organized and painted probably the majority of the murals on the Greenway. We were hired to do 4 or 5 murals. We ended up doing 11, just in that with a small team of youth, about 5 youths, over the summer of 2012. There was, like, when they did the MLK, there was a big block party right here. We were painting while there was, like, sound systems and stuff like that. It was crazy, man. We would be sending, like, the kids back and forth on skateboards to go get colors from other people. I mean, there was so much spray paint. And the paint would go from, like, here to the fence. Just all these colors randomly. The thing that you see here has something to do with nature. Again, it just goes back to, like, an indigenous understanding of our relationship to nature. And most of these pieces, there's struggles throughout the world based on indigenous sovereignty and relationship to protecting the planet represented on this wall. You have the Huichols, who were in the big fight around Wirikuta at the time, protecting the peyote. You have the Mapuches represented on this mural. So we weren't just talking to Richmond, we were talking about Richmond in the context of the national and international, the global struggle for protection of the planet in this piece, and all of these pieces.
I'm Rebecca Garcia Gonzalez, and I'm a visual artist living in Richmond. Well, this mural is certainly a narrative, and it can be read from right to left, just like a book, like a storybook. And it starts with how the Richmond Greenway was before these nonprofits came together to work on it. I believe there were 17 community organizations involved in the transformation of the Greenway, so the mural is essentially that story. The residents that stopped, and there were many people that lived here that stopped to talk to us. Some of them brought us food and water, and we chatted with them. They were happy to see bright colors. They were happy to see themselves in the mural, and they were happy that it was a vision of what could be.
It's what we love to do. We get to be out in the public. We get to be outdoors. We get to be in different locations, pretty regularly. Meet new communities, engage new communities, and that's what's the beauty of it. There's a deep, deep history in Richmond, but you don't hear that when they're trying to get people to come in here. Art is involved in the marketing of our spaces, and so we have to be very careful, in the pieces that we create. And that's one of the reasons that we, want to speak to the things that are happening here on the Greenway and incorporate images of people that are part of this community, as part of our process, as well as connecting to a bigger picture. But, that bigger picture relates back to Richmond. You know what I mean? We were still representing communities that didn't have voices. But I'm also really thankful of the opportunities that we were given to freestyle and to be spontaneous and to literally engage with community as they walked up to us on the Greenway and incorporate them into the murals. This is a photo we actually took on the Greenway. This woman is an art teacher in the community that came on the Greenway, and we happened to meet her, and we had her pose with a spray can, and we took the photos and we painted them. The woman down the way holding the sunflower, I think Pancho took that picture while we were out over that way. So there's that's a level of engagement that you can't have with sketches.
Could you tell us the story of this mural?
Que si le puede contar la historia sobre el mural de acá atrás que le pintamos.
No, pues está muy bien lo que se hicieron aquí. Se mira diferente.
Yeah. He says he really likes it, that it looks different. Pero dígales que por qué lo pintamos a usted aquí en el mural.
Pues no me acuerdo por qué oyes.
Oh, he says he can't remember why we painted him. But we painted him because to us
porque aquí andábamos haciendo el parque, hicimos este parque y aquí andaban los pintores y me pidieron permiso para ponerme ahí. Yeah.
We saw him as one of the gardeners, as a founder of one of the gardening programs out here, and we wanted when Doria hired us for the murals, we wanted to put community members up there, and all the portraits that are here on the mural are from different community members from Richmond that had a part to do in the Richmond Greenway, or some sort of activism here in Richmond. And to us, our work, the work that Chuy has brought to the Greenway, and the people that he's inspired, we felt that he was a community leader, and we wanted to put him on the mural for that reason. And as you can see, he's still here working.
Like I mentioned before, I think it's important for people of color to see positive visions of their hopes for the future. It's important to see through a window, and I think art has that role. An artist, a socially conscious artist, can open up the window through which people in a community can see how things could be, and that both gives people hope and also it gives them something to look forward to in their day.
Especially when it was first created, there's a natural pull. Like it gives you something to look at.
Many people have said, I was walking on my way to work, but I had to stop to look at this mural. Or there was a young woman, a high school student, who said, every day I pass this mural and I always stop to look at it. It makes me happy. So I think that's important.
spray can culture always attracts youth because it's created from that youth mentality. So there's always that pull, and it made it a lot more palatable than, gardening is cool for a certain demographic of folks. The people that like gardening, that like being outdoors, that want to get their hands in the dirt, but with the artwork, it draws in other people in, and then maybe they can join that demographic that wants to garden, And of course, landscaping can also do that, like you see a lot of, there's the lawns mowed, and there's a bunch of like native flowers and stuff like that. And, all of that can help kind of contribute to this sense of like, this is a place that I want to be. But artwork definitely pulls people in. It makes us more excited about being in these spaces, especially if you see things that like particularly reflect you or engage you or speak to things that you care about.
People ask, who's paying for this? And I would say the city of Richmond. Really? And I would say, yes, there's a program for public art. I didn't know about that, but you could see that they were proud about that fact.
If they can see an ugly tag, why can't they see something beautiful, like a beautiful mural, something that represents the community? I feel like it really comes down to that, have visual healing. When you see litter and garbage and illegal dumping, it makes you feel some type of way. It makes you feel like you're not valued, or your neighborhood's not valued. And it makes you feel like it's not worthy, right? So when you see people come and clean it up and paint a beautiful mural, then it makes you feel like if they're invested, then how come I'm not invested, right? So it makes you feel like you matter. It makes you feel like you belong. So I think when you add these when you continue beautifying the neighborhood with murals, I feel like it makes the neighborhood feel like they matter, like they're valued, like their visual healing also matters. I feel like community murals are an important factor in the community as well for visual healing. Just kind of like how air pollution and noise pollution and light pollution, I feel like there's visual pollution too, where, if these things are not dealt with, it also adds, stress and toxicity to the community and to the neighborhood. So being part of the visual healing, I think it's a crucial part of being in a community to make sure that our community members feel valued, that their visual healing also matters, that they're worthy of a beautiful mural.
Art can be a double-edged sword, and we've called this out on our blogs and stuff like that for quite a while. That in neighborhoods that are under the threat of gentrification or in the transition of gentrification, artwork really needs to reflect the community, the existing communities, as a means of protecting and developing awareness around those communities, so that that people coming in can't deny that they don't exist. And then if you, the other thing that can happen is if you do create artwork that doesn't have that connection to the community in those times. I was just looking at a piece, a really beautiful piece that was just produced in Fruitvale, but it's very abstract. It didn't have any connection to Fruitvale in East Oakland. And Fruitvale is definitely gentrifying. And so you put up a piece that's really beautiful, but has this kind of, almost this aesthetic of that new, modern, slick type of feeling, and doesn't speak to that history, to that in any way. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that don't want to go off and paint historical figures or just community members and stuff like that, but there needs to be a way that the community gets touched somehow in that process, and the community that's already there feels like they have something and it's theirs, and that they can feel welcome in their own community as it changes. Because like aside from the prices going up and things that artists can't necessarily control, there's a sense in gentrification that you're no longer welcome in your own neighborhood. Entitlement that comes along with gentrification. So art can be a tool to fight that entitlement, because it helps place keeping, place holding, you know, as well as place making, you know. But the challenge in place making is that sometimes if you're not engaged in that community, not engaged in that history, that the place that you make doesn't connect back to that historical continuity of that neighborhood. So we're always under that threat.
We brought art to this old abandoned railroad line. I mean, look at it now. It used to be this chippy, terrible wall. Now it's art. And you wouldn't have had that if you didn't put faith in the youth.
Yeah.
They can do it.
I think the City of Richmond definitely, you know, trusted us and took that leap forward, you know. And this is the result of all that, really. It's definitely, like I said, opened up a lot of doors and opportunities to really progress as a local community artist and leader, you know. I think it's been a huge collaborative effort from all of us, the students, the city, and definitely the City of Richmond, for them to really be open-minded and participate in the change.
Well, I am extremely proud of having been part of this project. I've worked in other cities and I work with artists that live elsewhere. And when I describe the project to them, not just the murals or what the City of Richmond has done to promote public art, but the actual feat that it was to transform such a long and narrow stretch of the city into this beautiful park, people are amazed, and I think we should be very proud of that as a city. I think there's a huge value in being involved in community art, and this city is ahead of so many others in that respect. So
it was us sitting under the trees and having lunch and stuff like that with the kids and talking smack. That was some of the funnest parts for me, you know. Just the clowning around and the community that we built around it, you know. Like when you go around here, like there's no denying how much the painting has changed this area. And how would it really feel if you took all of this stuff away? You know, it'd be pretty, you know, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't catch your eye. It wouldn't make the space really feel special, you know.
Every year there's more murals and more gardens and more trees. And this abandoned waste of a railroad yard is living.
I remember on the day of the park's opening, you know, there was a kid who ran by me, you know, on his way to the new playground that never existed before, you know. And I thought to myself, you know, when I was growing up here, it was just, you know, broken concrete and glass bottles and needles and crap, you know. And this kid is running down a DG path with fruit trees all around him saying, "Dad, can I go to the playground?" And I said to myself as he ran by me, "Yes, you can," you know, because there is a playground there now, you know. That kid has a completely different association with Richmond, right? For him, it's a different space, a different realm of possibilities. It's phenomenal, you know.
It brought peace. It's a lot nicer, especially when there are people here. It helps keep it and maintain a safer space rather than like kind of a sketchy feeling when you're passing through.
Where it used to serve as a dividing line for Central Richmond, South Richmond, it's now acting as more of a uniting line to bring people from all those sides to a common place that they can enjoy and not feel like, this is just trash, this is all we got, you know, something to take pride in. And you really, you know, I see a lot of our society change out here. Like our community members, it's a lot less violent. There is not crime in this area. It used to be crazy for crime, like prostitution, drug deals, and all that stuff. All that stuff is going drastically down, way down. And people hang out now. They bring their families out here, and you really get to see a change in the cloud that used to be over Richmond, this scary place. And you come out here, and the Greenway to me represents that change from that narrative to what we see now, which is more peace, more unity.
it's hard to even put it in words, like what this journey has been, you know? Like, I think there's nothing that strengthens your faith in people's capacity to make change in their own communities than to live through it. To see it from a place where it just feels hopeless, you know, to a place where, you know, people are walking and they come out and sit in the middle of the day. Like, I see kids walking through here and they grazing strawberries. Like, that was the vision that email held.
And it's like completely transformed into like something that is for the community. It's presentable, it's beautiful.
Richmond is truly a revolutionary city, you know. It's really the front line to a lot of new policy, new ways of experimenting, figuring out ways to really solve a lot of big issues, and it's really the front line.
What's great about in general, like this community-based projects is that I think that like what I really enjoyed doing was creating community and helping people knit those relationships. And kind of like the key to bringing volunteers together is to provide that opportunity for people that are similar in interest or in age or just because they're neighbors to feel that they can be together working in something that it could benefit the collective, like the commons. So it's like that idea of connecting volunteers and volunteerism with kind of building community that brought me to do this. And I think that is something that we have proven that is possible, and it does build relationships between people.
I feel like it's a model for what can be done with community as far as creating spaces that aren't sources or causes of gentrification. This was a process that included over 10 different nonprofit organizations that are local, run by local people, and created a vision for what we wanted as a space, what we needed as a community. The solutions are not from outside, they're from within, and the resources are in the people. So that's really, I feel like, how this project exemplifies community organizing and, you know, trying to create a space that is good for the people and serves the needs of local folks.
Like I said before, I don't know of any other place where 17 nonprofits came together to work with the community to create this park. That is unique, and that is a gift.
This greenway and these parks were not built by contractors. They were not, you know, designed by professionals and built by contractors. They were designed by the community and built by the community, and to some extent are maintained by the community. And that's really the important thing.
Oh, no, sí, es una gran victoria porque eran traques del tren. Mucho aceite y mucho químico. Y ya que limpiaron, pues ya hicimos el parque, hicimos el caminitos y para la gente y para las bicicletas. Claro que cambió mucho.
He said the whole park is a success story, of a great victory, because to see what it used to be from the train tracks to what it is now, an actual living organism, he says that he's proud to be part of that history.
So I hope that it continues to be a place where people can see that community leaders, community people can lead. They can make change. That we can make change in a way that actually fits what we need and helps us thrive.
Just don't let nobody tell you that you can't do for yourself or that the community can't do for itself. Because what this project and what this Greenway proves to me every day, every year, is that given the opportunity, community members can come with their own solutions and do for themselves and build things that they feel they need and want in their own community. So my thing would be just never let no one tell you that you can't or we don't have what it takes to do it, because we prove that every day out here on this Greenway. I mean, some of the strength and labor that it took to do a lot of this stuff, you would think regular community members did not do this. But yeah, some of those big ass logs that you see out there that would be lining things, that was literally like 10 teenagers on sides of the log carrying it together as a team, as a unit to move it and feeling that sense of accomplishment once they do it, because they saw how big it was, but seeing that all together, it wasn't that heavy. And now we done it, and it's like that little things like that show us that, yeah, together, man, we could change Richmond. Even if it's just one green space at a time, we can do it, and we can do it with the community and for ourselves, working together.
Taking ownership of it. It's our park, and we're here to protect it, take care of it, and nurture it up.
Speak life to heat the ice and thoughts from the freezer. I'ma claim freedom. Been through every type of pain, but I'm still here. Breaking every type of chains, I have no fear. So I'ma speak life till everything's clear. Watch the change gon' come. Change gon' come. I see change gon' come. Change gon' come. I'ma speak life till everything's clear. I'ma speak life till everything's clear. Watch the change gon' come. Never seen that perfect picture. Homies tryna be hitters. Book smart turn into a dealer. Crawling streets looking like lizards. No calling, only the how we falling. Things feel like they're stalling for minor setbacks. They pause, man. Build a yellow brick road and keep on living. In the hood, we out here taking control. Till control's given. While some sipping, not your flipping. But trust me, it's all the guidance. For the local, we'll be rising to the skies. We out here flying and we later out here getting zone with the brodies coming home. We getting gone. Finally putting smiles on the mama's faces that was never shown. So we could recall and look back at it all and say we living like a A1 soldier that never fall. I'ma claim life. I'ma claim freedom. Been through every type of pain, but I'm still here. Breaking every type of chains, I have no fear. So I'ma speak life till everything's clear. Watch the change gon' come. Change gon' come. I see change gon' come. Change gon' come. I'ma speak life till everything's clear. I'ma speak life till everything's clear. Watch the change gon' come.